Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII. So yeah, let's explore the
it's time.
kind of sewer level,
yes.
kind of. All right, that right there in the background.
Actually pretty.
Yeah. So yeah, that thing right there in the background, that yellow thing, it's a fal'Cie. We're gonna talk about it in a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Again, when they mention the name, I'll just post a reference because much like Gapra fal'Cie, it's supposed to be a reference to something from the past.
Why are you running about on the platform?
Because I'm
Or
bored.
fal'Cies.
Because I'm bored and I need to press something on the controller to keep my brain active.
I love that they actually allow you to do that. Like, with how scripted this game is, you'd think that even that would have been...
We don't even
against
slow your
the-
movement, we're just allowed to do what you want.
Okay, I don't think, for what I've seen so far, and for what I've played on my own, I think the issue isn't necessarily that it's scripted, the issue is that the scripted stuff is boring.
It's the city's food production.
No, trust me. The game is very
Hold on.
scripted.
Oh, here we go.
Carbuncle.
Yeah, that's supposed
That
to be
looks nothing like Carbuncle.
That looks nothing like Carbuncle, but
I'll
whatever.
post an image of reference, Liz,
Well-
don't worry.
Man, this Puyo Puyo reboot's weird.
Well,
And please
Jova, what I
post
said-
Food supply.
Sorry, go on.
That'll make us
well,
popular.
Jova, what I said was, I didn't say anything about the quality
Hold on,
of
cut.
scripting. I just
Yeah,
said
it's
the
actually important.
Yeah, you're probably right. Hungry people make for angry people.
True.
I mean, it is
Yeah,
true.
not wrong,
very
I
true,
guess.
actually.
But yeah, Carbuncle is responsible for actually producing food somehow. So,
You
alright, Pedro, read the...
Alright,
Carbuncle is a Santam fal'Cie charged with food production. Stationed in Palumpolum subterranean agricultural complexes, fal'Cie oversees a process of ultra-efficient hydroponic farming employing mobile patties and careful regulation of light and water. A parallel process within the facility generates raw protein to supplement the vegetable foodstuffs produced. So basically,
Technically, we're vegan with stuff that tastes like meat.
it gives you healthy food to eat. That's basically what it does.
Yeah. Okay, basically, Jova, I never said
Yeah,
anything
B.
about the quantity of scripting. It's just not necessarily that scripting is a problem in and of itself. It's just the scripted stuff that is here is boring.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Alright, basically for those who don't know, and again, please don't Google it unless you put Final Fantasy on, because the term Carbuncle can lead you to very nasty results if they unchecked. Carbuncle normally looks like just a green type of, furry animal or, a trickster-like spirit. His shape has changed through the series, of course, but he stayed mostly consistent for what it's supposed to be. But in here, again, going through the whole, biblically accurate angels mixed with machines, they made Carbuncle look like that. It's a cool design, but don't call it Carbuncle,
Alright, I'm back now.
It's like with Kujata, the fal'Cie that Daj encounter. It was a cool design on its own, but it looked nothing like Kujata, not even in an ideal kind of sense.
Did I miss anything?
One character
No, I was just explaining about Carbuncle, don't worry.
This thing
Alright.
was weirdly cute.
Yeah, again, my favorite design for Carbuncle probably is the 15 one, mostly because instead of actually being an undescribed type of animal, they based it on something else. But
Nothing.
in the meantime,
Nothing that looks that cute
Sort of
can be
strange.
pure.
Not
Yeah, haven't you seen Madoka
Hold on.
We've
Magica?
relied on them our whole
Yep.
lives.
Exactly.
The food we eat,
All right, this is actually important.
light,
Yeah.
and water.
That cat sucks, by the way.
I think Cocoon was really built for them. The rest of us, we're just leeches, parasites.
You think? They protect us, nurture us, and take care of, normal people. They treat us like we're special. Almost like
They're your mothers.
Hold on.
we're pets.
Oh, pets.
You're
seriously,
you're just now realizing this, Lightning?
He's having this kind of major revelation, but God, that expression.
Okay, is this the part where Lightning has her revelation?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So this had never. So at never at any point did this come across your mind, Lightning. I think it's pretty obvious.
So, yeah, as you may recall, one of our complaints with Legend of Korra Book 2 was that in order to get development, Korra had to essentially die at some point and come back as a better person. This is on a similar wavelength. Lightning finally starts to grow out of her stupid persona, not by, proper characterization or whatnot, but by Hope stating the goddamn obvious and this giving her a revelation. This doesn't feel
Hold on, Jova. There you go.
This Lassie curse.
This is now she finally decides to talk to him.
My future.
only now because
Only now.
she realizes this stuff.
There you go.
It doesn't feel natural.
There you go. This is the game just trying to justify her attitude up until this point. She was in denial, and she was basically lashing out on people, basically.
No flipping duh.
You got swept along with me.
But Lightning, I don't understand.
Look, Hope, the writers just realized that Lightning needed to stop acting like a dick.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm not going to comply with your murderous intentions. Not
Well,
now.
why didn't you say no to me earlier?
Yeah, exactly.
A mistake.
I love how if Hope hadn't.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I think we're about to get the line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then abandon me.
I know, right?
I won't abandon you. I won't.
But this whole murderous streak
Right.
isn't
Okay, and that scene ends in a very awkward manner, like in the middle of a conversation. It felt like that cutscene should have continued. I love how if Hope hadn't brought up the whole pet thing, Lightning would have never had this revelation, and this part would have continued permanently throughout the entire. Of all things, Lightning, what triggers your? Maybe I should actually do something about the fact that this kid is trying to kill someone. What triggers it is the fact that he brings up something that's completely irrelevant to all things considered.
Keep in mind, this isn't spoiling too much, but if Hope hadn't have done this, the villains' plan would have succeeded. I'm not going to explain how, but believe it or not, it is literally just by Hope stating that now the plot can actually start to get moving. I'm sorry, it is not natural in the slightest here and there. You've had Lightning going down this path for so long, and yet it's that one flimsy thing that supposedly makes her now better? Bullcrap.
Not just that. Go on, Dodge.
actually, you say your point first, because mine, well, is related to this series, this trilogy.
Cutscene. Well, actually, cutscene now anyway.
The line.
Yeah, now it's actually the line. Yeah.
Yeah, what do we do now, Lightning?
We're the sea. Ticking time bomb.
They can't observe the sea.
Enemies of Cocoon.
Take a shot.
There we
Follow
go.
the plan.
Go ahead, Pedro. Two because Dwib's looking I can't do it.
Oh, wait, here we go.
I don't know yet,
You don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
but I do know we can't lose hope.
Why do I get the feeling
Hope's right there. What are you talking about?
Please don't hope.
Like, seriously. The characters have just admitted that they have no idea what they're doing at this point.
This is amazing. Like the characters are literally complaining. The characters are.
Yeah, to explain her backstory.
Yeah,
I
true,
needed
true.
to forget my past, and I became like.
That's stupid.
Go
I
on.
thought that by changing my name, I could change.
That's not how it
Even more
works.
stupid.
That's not how it works,
Just
Lightning.
A kid.
Particular reason.
Lightning.
She needed to be someone else because,
So basically that's her backstory. Her parents are dead, and as a result she had to be the tough adult and raise Sarah on her own. Basically.
So
Why
this is
did
what
it-
would happen if Batman had a sibling.
Basically.
so why did she need to have Lightning be a fake name? Why couldn't Lightning have just been a real name from the get-go?
Well, according to her, it's supposed to be like it means something strong and powerful, and therefore that it was kind of her an attempt to give us up. And now she has her big epiphany. There you go. Forgot this entire time. The only one who was there for Sarah forgot this entire ordeal was Snow, as you're about to see.
I threatened her.
Yeah, you think maybe you shouldn't have done that, basically.
Again, for all anyone talks about Snow being an idiot, all the supposed stupid decisions he made were bouts where he was backed in a corner. Like, sure, he took Sarah to the fal'Cie, but they were being chased by the government. They were kind of low on options.
It brings everything back.
And mind you, you might say, oh, well, this is the story realizing that it's not Snow's fault. There's a later scene that still tries to suggest that Snow is at fault, and, well, Pedro knows what I'm talking about. We'll get to that later.
How can he smile when she's dead? I know.
Oh my
Hold on.
god.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly, thank
I
you.
hate knowing that. No matter what happens, she's not coming back.
And this is where you gives up on killing Snow, right?
Fighting. There's no time to
Right.
Nah, he wants to kill him
think about it.
harder.
Just to give in.
Yeah.
The angstiness is strong with this one, Jova.
He's looking for someone to blame. It's
Not just
a
that,
thing.
also to actually feel something anything that would actually make him feel better. No matter what it is.
Yes, revenge, the most worthless of causes.
It's my fault.
You know,
Counter argument from Gravity Falls, revenge is severely underrated.
in a better written story tier, what you suggested could have been compelling. But it's this story, not Yeah, let's go with that.
I love how. Okay, don't get me wrong. I understand. Yeah. Oh, the Center fal'Cie. No enemies of Cocoon. I understand what they're doing. Now this is supposed to be her big character turn, right? She realizes how dumb she's been up until this point. The problem is that her quote-unquote stupidity that she gets over, a lot of times there's little to no context. Again, it boils down to the fact that we've got barely enough time to know Lightning and... Let's think about this for a moment. Lightning's entire motivation for everything is Sarah, right? What do we know about Lightning and Sarah? Like as a pair of siblings, like we literally know nothing about how their relationship is. I mean, do they like?
Pedro Lightning had to change her name to be a better person who could somehow take care of her sister. Jova. And I say to that the exact same thing that I said when Mako was telling us how he had to be the tough one to protect his brother Bolin in Korra. That's cool. Can we actually see that in a flashback? You know, maybe? Like I mentioned, this is a similar problem.
Or if you don't need to show us in a flashback, just show it through us for why they're dynamic.
Not just that, like, it's more so, again, it's like I said this in the commentary of the Korra series. The original Last Airbender series used flashbacks masterfully to handle these villains. I don't know why Korra was suddenly so afraid of using flashbacks. But this,
and like I mentioned prior, again, this is a similar problem to Legend of Korra Book 2. Sure, Korra eventually became a better character, but she essentially had to die and lose her memory part of the way to become it. With Lightning, this is literal character upheaval. It's just a sudden premonition, and now Lightning will be on the track of being a better character. Oh, and mind you, in case you're wondering if that makes her actually a good character, 1, too little, way too late, and 2, even what they do with Lightning now that she's better is...
She's still
not really all that much to write home about.
She's still underdeveloped. I still know barely anything about her.
Let me put it like this. Lightning ironically had more character when she was an idiotic dick. Because it's all downhill from here, pretty much.
This game actually, she already brought up something... Oh, I'll after the cutscene.
Talk to your dad.
My dad's dead.
Why?
Fighting without hope is no way to live.
What does talking to his dad accomplish?
It's just a way to
Well,
die.
her idea is that, you should just give up and go see your father so you can just,
Oh, no, wait. Oh, God, don't remind me of that shitty Consummate Solace song.
yeah.
I can help you.
Well, Jova, remember, his father's is the only family he has left, so I'm guessing she thinks that now it's the best thing for Hope is to just go see go see his father, yeah.
You think meeting my dad will make
Well,
him
how about
better?
actually,
He's never listened to a word I've said.
Oh, don't you see? It turns out that his dad is never to listen to a word he said. If only we could have gotten a flashback to showcase this instead of having to be told.
Not just that, Jova. The game just implied with that line that they have a rocky relationship. When you get to his father's house, that's not reflected in the story at all. Like, seriously.
It's not. It's really not. Like, I honestly forgot this line was even in the game because their actual relationship that's shown is
It's like
fine.
it's like by the time and trust me, without saying that. Oh, actually, we're gonna get an FMV now. So.
Oh boy, here we go.
At least we have to watch pretty CG animation. There's that.
So anyway, the entire trilogy has been recently released on Game Pass, and I just started downloading the other two.
Nice.
Oh wait, here we go.
So I'm guessing that after we're done with this playthrough, you're gonna play 13-2?
Smile.
Oh.
Probably, yeah.
I'll be sure to stream it. I'll like to watch it.
So yeah, you know, you guys kind of suck at this.
Lightning. Remind me again. What exactly was your intention all along? Forgot this entire trip. Like, because what exactly was your plan? I know that you don't have one, but like.
Apparently, her plan was to steal a ship and go
Find
and
a way to
strike
eat
at
in,
the.
yeah.
You survived.
I mean, it was a dumb plan, but it was a plan, so I guess we have to give the game that. Mind you, she didn't seem to have a backup plan for what to do when she went
Yeah.
off that plan, and now they pretty much have been.
Fortunately, Snow shows up and saves the day.
Here comes Snow to save the day.
That's some crowd.
Man, it's a real shame that he's not named Rain, because he would have rained on the bad guys' parade.
No matter how many times you say that line, it doesn't get any cooler. Sorry, game.
Okay, to be fair, I'm pretty sure there have been at least a few things in whether it be in fiction or real life that were done without much of or if any of a plan.
The problem is that the game is trying to have it be like a fun catchphrase, you know. The problem is that it needs to actually make the character saying it likable in order to accomplish something like that.
Boy, it sure would be cool if I could do this in the game.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
I mean, given the fact that we literally use our summons as mounts,
I
well, okay.
also love that
Okay, we
Roche
don't get
just
to this.
stands there and does nothing.
Yeah. Well, that went to pot.
They didn't like the cold reception they got.
That nearly took off Lightning's head.
That would have been nice.
Okay then.
So, question: what is now that Lightning knows that Hope insists on killing Snow? What does she do? She pushes Hope right into Snow's arms.
And she doesn't even warn Snow. Like she could have said,
Sarah's all right. She'll turn back.
You know, at least take his knife away from him before you do that. Like, it's just.
again, she doesn't even warn Snow. She could have just said, by the way, Snow, the
No,
kid
no,
I've
no.
entrusted you with wants to kill you.
Oh, don't worry, Jova. She will warn him, but she will only do it later through a telephone that doesn't allow her to say it properly. That she will say it later, but via a cell phone that doesn't work because of interference. I'm not kidding.
Right now, Hope has a good chance of backstabbing Snow when he doesn't do it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, considering they're on a moving vehicle, odds are if he kills Snow right now, he'll probably end up killing him too.
What Dwib said, not to mention too, at this point there's way too much going on for him to even think clearly.
That Hope has demonstrated beforehand that he doesn't, particularly care about common sense when it comes to accomplishing his goal.
This gives me a chance to showcase Snow's Shiva bike idol.
Again, it's cool, but it doesn't allow you to do all the shit that happened in the CGI cutscene.
I know.
Tia, what you're saying is that they should remake the 13 trilogy.
No, please.
Why did you jump to that?
Like, you can re-release remasters of them, but please keep this shit in the past. Although that's the thing, that believe it or not, this Final Fantasy XIII is the only mainline game that has yet to get a proper formal re-release. Yes, it has been re-released on Steam, but it was a low-key re-release with a rushed PC port. Like in terms of actually re-releasing it on consoles, it has never been attempted. In fact, Square doesn't even seem to, outside of crossovers, Square doesn't even seem to even acknowledge this thing anymore.
So here is essentially the turning point of the story. Things are starting to look more hopeful. Apparently, there will be a way for Sarah to turn back and be fine. Snow's looking up on it, and Lightning is finally seeing the light here.
We'll explain more about that later.
I'll handle the bad guys. Come on.
So yeah, now...
Hey, Snow, question, why don't we still just use your motorcycle to get out of here? Why do we have to still leg it on foot?
Because that might be fun. Lightning
she went ahead and Fang actually ran after her.
Basically, they decided to split up to, I guess, to split up the troops, something along those lines.
God, there's so much splitting up in this game.
Yeah,
there's barely any time for them to just interact well with each other.
I think the conclusion of this chapter will actually have finally your first stable free party member.
And that's the thing.
Sorry.
It's not even the full proper party yet either.
Question.
No, because... Sorry, go on.
Yes, Shirei.
Remind me, Pedro, how long is this LP?
38.
See, but we're already 17 parts in, and yeah, there really hasn't been that much interaction.
No, that's because actually, that's a good segue, Shirei. I was saying that earlier. Remember how when we were doing Final Fantasy VIII, and you said something specific that was very elucidative about the game's story problems. The game only gave us beats and nothing else. Story beats, specifically. That's what you said. Mm-hmm. And if you think about, Toriyama definitely learned a lot from his teacher Kitase, because this game kind of has the same problem. Most of this game is just plot beats without the actual build-up / development to connect said beats.
As someone who overall likes Final Fantasy VIII, I will still defend that story as essentially, while a lot of it was beats, I feel like it feels like it's enough of a connected narrative to the point where it doesn't feel like I have to practically hop from island to island to actually have important stuff happen. I feel like 8's a connected enough narrative. 13, on the other hand, you could arguably cut out a lot, and I do mean a lot of the early narrative in this game.
Oh, they did, Jova. They did, but I'll talk about that later.
Oh, really? So, honestly, it sounds like all the major caveats of bad game development have occurred at some point, pretty much based off of how many times you said that.
Pretty much.
Talk about it later during that part.
Pretty much, actually, yes.
Did anything go right with this game?
The visuals?
The visuals, I guess.
I'm starting to think maybe this game was just one glorified tech demo.
Yeah, it feels like that, yeah.
Okay, Dej, it feels like that, but mark my words, this was the big project of Square at the time, to the point where it was taking assets and resources from all of their other studios, divisions, and projects.
Yeah, that's why I'm not... That's why... Sorry, go on, finish. I thought you were done.
Square wanted this to be the Final Fantasy VII killer, and they were willing to do everything they could. Again, it's like with Spirits Within. This was their ultra super dynamic, mega awesome big project that was going to be like their flagship project. They thought it was important enough to take from everything else from it. And what are the results? This travesty.
See, the thing is...
Square have this pattern every now and then of making these big projects that they take assets from other studios on. Then that project ends up being a disaster, so their next project has to be big and great enough to bail them out eventually.
And it hurts once that project doesn't live up to that expectation. But the thing is, let me put it this way, Ditch. Let me put you in this in the situation that me and Taylor were during this time. See, here's the thing: the reason even people who don't like Final Fantasy VII Remake are at the very least not as mad as they were at 13 is because 7 Remake is not taking away from any other projects. We're still getting 16, we're still getting Stranger of Paradise, we're still getting other stuff. So if you don't like that, just play other stuff. The 16 is coming, and that game is sure to be great. So, this trilogy, on the other hand, because for all the reasons that Jova just mentioned, how this was taking resources and staff away from other projects, because of that, we weren't getting anything aside from these 3 games. I'm not kidding, we weren't getting any interesting spin-offs. 14 1.0 was garbage, and Yoshipi had to come in and save it. It's
and even then, remember in that case, to the extent you had to do all the stuff like making 2.0 while also patching together 1.0 with Doctor.
Yeah. So as a result, Edge, at the time, all Final Fantasy fans had was this, literally just this. And we were stuck with it. We were stuck.
Trilogy dedicated to this game for an entire console generation.
We were literally stuck with just this and nothing else, Final Fantasy wise.
I also like to remind you two things. That one, the same thing that I brought up with Haze. This was also the transitioning period from the SD to the HD era, and much like it was basically literally growing pains, like he said, because many studios had to struggle a lot for the transitioning, and not everyone managed to make it through. This was also another result of that, even though the game was originally conceived for the PS2 and basically only got basically an upgrade for the PS3 and Xbox 360. But second, while also what Pedro said is true, it also has to apply to the bigger picture. As I mentioned, even on the entire Square Enix panorama, 2010 was kind of like marking the end of a couple of projects, and after that, it was very scarce what we got. Mana and Saga were kind of dead. Nier managed to get released, even though its own development cycle was kind of hampered by this. Again, history repeating itself. Tri-Ace was able to actually release Star Ocean: The Last Hope in around 2010 as well, but then got essentially employed for fixing the problems of this with 13 to Aligning Returns, And the best that we got that wasn't Kingdom Hearts related, other than this, was essentially Drakengard 3 in 2012. And even then, its release was also very rocky because it was a PSP exclusive. For the Europe, it was only digital, got a very weird and awkward DLC plan. But still to this day, people are begging for a port somewhere that makes actually an easier bundle in order to actually, play the game not in an emulated kind of way, And to top it off, it clearly was showcasing that Taro was essentially just making a game, not really for the sake of it, because it's still a good plot in the end, but it was more like an experimenting project more than anything. But the bottom line with going with this is that for a good chunk of years, as I mentioned at the end of 13 to 9 Returns, although probably in too much of a flower way in hindsight, is that for someone like me, back then was mostly just caring about Final Fantasy. This was all me and others were getting, and it wasn't exactly pretty.
I know, and some people might be saying, I know some people say, what about 14? Well, bear in mind, 1.0, it was supposed to get a PS3 release, but 1.0 was 1.0, and it was pretty much stuck on PC.
Mm-hmm.
But consider the point of view of people who, preferred actual mainline Final Fantasy titles. Like, look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't consider 11 and 14 proper mainline titles, despite the fact that they have. Despite the fact that they have numbers in there here and there, they are.
And you guys were talking about the Square side of the company, right?
Square side,
the Enix.
The Enix side was
its issues too, but we're mainly talking about.
I mentioned Star Ocean, which was originally Enix IP that got acquired. But to be fair, there was something else in the meantime that we didn't talk about: the acquisition of Eidos, and it did showcase because they did try to. Well, the titles they released on this time were still, relatively solid. Deus Ex: Human Revolution and the first of the Tomb Raider new reboot. Series, were at least honest to God attempts for Square Enix to actually capitalize on their acquisition. It's just that, unfortunately, after that, they kind of sort of gave up on the long run.
They definitely gave up on Hitman.
Let me put it this way, Dutch. Okay, so you probably think, okay, but it was originally when this game came out, it was doing all those problems that we just mentioned. Okay, so it just came out in March 2010. Okay, now we didn't like this one, but okay, fine, whatever, let's move on. Then they announced a 13.2 sequel and nothing else. Then they announced Lightning Returns, aka 13.3 and nothing else. Can you start to see why this would be so frustrating? You know, like all for a good 5 years, all we were getting was 13 games, like Final Fantasy 13 games. I mean, like it's just so frustrating.
Mind you, I will give minor credit to where it's due, because although it doesn't still fit completely because it's on a mainline title. Between the first 13 and 13.2, we got the Siege of Duodecim, which was a general major improvement over the first game. And it ironically enough also included lightning, which led to the image that I had mentioning. Sorry.
I love Hope's face in this cutscene. Check this out.
You've changed, haven't you? Seems like you've toughened up.
How could you tell?
I had to.
Yeah, the only ones that ought to be fighting the army are us dumb grown-ups.
My mom's not dumb.
You think it's stupid to fight?
Oh, yeah, exactly what he's saying. Though, very good.
It is if you get killed.
Poor choice of words, though. Even though you don't know.
It just
Maybe
feels
you don't die. Everything.
It just feels so contrived.
Snow is basically trying to be like, you're a kid. This should be up to the adults. But it's just the word is like, oh.
He was smiling.
He was trying to not to make you worry. Oh Jesus Christ! This is contrived.
It's me.
Also, I know, right? And by the way, look, this is
Sorry.
That's
angry Australian noises.
And yeah, the cell phones look like that because it's the future.
Yes,
the future is dumb.
Okay, for all these problems, at least Advent Children use actual Motorola models.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, remember, Sherry, it was 2005, so.
That line's hyper encrypted.
Whatever.
Guys. Okay, hold on. Hey, guess what, guys? Now Lightning. Oh, yeah, I'm not your sister. Guess what, guys? Now Lightning decides now is the correct time to tell Snow. But here's up. Believe it or not, we're about to get the best scene in this game yet. Listen to this.
Oh, wait, it's
hold on. Listen to this.
We're the ones defending it. We should have a say in what's done to protect it.
Attention all units. Ignore all fire zone restrictions. Fire at will.
Hold on.
What? Whatever it takes to kill them.
I said fire.
Wait, hold on.
Whatever it takes. You want to start a war in the streets? Civilians are
Also, that was Troy Baker too.
The collateral we're talking about is unacceptable. You don't know what it's like out there.
You don't understand why we're here.
You just heard it right there, folks.
And again, that's supposed to be the Mazabune.
God.
Not just that.
Best characters in the game are the faceless mooks.
Yes, Squibs. This is literally a Star Wars movie where the best characters are the stormtroopers. It's just
like seriously though, the mooks actually care about defending the people, which is more than our protagonists have cared about. They actually.
Movie then.
All right, hold on. Now Lightning decides that now is the correct time to tell Snow about this. Check this out.
I'll tell you more about Sarah when we meet up. I found out she can turn back.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
Snow.
Speaking of
hold on.
It's about Hope. His mother was.
It's me.
Oh God.
Hope.
I just hate it when you.
So, of all times, Lightning, now is do you think is the correct time to tell him this? And of course, when she tries, its interference fucks it up.
The good old days when we used that phrase for Skype.
Hey, Lightning, kind of regretting not telling Snow when you had the goddamn chance.
So yeah,
by the way, you owe me for that.
Meet Fang, the sixth and final party member of the game.
Yep, she actually plays pretty well.
She probably is the creator's favorite when it comes to gameplay because it's not like she's busted, but she's actually the more versatile in pretty much all roles, even if it's not apparent immediately.
Yeah.
She's probably the equivalent to a Dragoon in your Final Fantasy game.
Because she uses the spear.
She's usually a fan favorite because she's genuinely cool. She's not particularly complex as a character, honestly, but she's fun. But she has a fun personality, at least.
I can kind of get it. Like she's probably the best rounded character out between story and gameplay. Like, sure, Sal's is good story-wise, but his gameplay is not the best. Fang encompasses both having a likable enough personality, a character who's not rock hard stupid, unlike a lot of the cast.
Hold on, Jova, I have to read this.
And her gameplay works. Go on.
I have to read this. It said that Lightning tries to warn Snow, but her plea reaches nothing. Or something along those lines.
Oh boy, it was written. Even the title of the chapter was called Interference. Fun fact: we did mention in the original run, if I recall correctly, Fang's role was, type of character was supposed to be male originally, but if I recall correctly, she eventually became the character that she is now, mostly because the developing team thought that balancing out the party with with 3 men and 3 women would have feel more balanced overall. Yeah. I can understand that, and to be fair, it doesn't really impact anything. So
no, it's not. No, not really. It does kind of make it interesting how a lot of people theorize. I mean, it's not official, obviously, but a lot of people theorize that Fang and Vanille are a couple. Because I mean, let's face it, the way they talk and hug each other is just.
Admittedly, some of the cutscenes do have Fang being cheap teased a lot.
Yeah.
Mostly with Vanille. But particularly also in this chapter, also a bit with Lightning. You wouldn't believe how much you wouldn't believe how much the internet roll with this.
Remember, Teo, this is the Toriyama game, and this guy is horny as fuck. Okay, don't get me wrong. I appreciate Toriyama's idea because remember, the whole reason Lightning is a woman is because, according to Toriyama, and this is part of the development stuff, the reason Toriyama made Lightning a woman is because he thought at the time there wasn't enough female protagonists in video games. And that's why he really wanted to have a strong female character.
Also for Final Fantasy. Up until this point, Terra and Celes were the only major examples.
Yeah.
Well, unless we count the White Mage from Final Fantasy I.
That's the thing, Jova. The White Mage being female was mostly kind of an accident because of the sprite or anything. But if I recall correctly, later releases were just threw their ends up and said that both of the mage classes, since you can't really see their faces properly, can be any gender you want.
Don't get me wrong,
the White Mage, it pretty much is obvious it's a woman, at least by the time of the PSP remake, given her ascended form.
See, this is the double-edged sword. While on one hand, it's kind of cool that Toriyama does want to genuinely have more representation of female characters in his games, it doesn't really help when you fucking exploit them sexually in your games, like he does.
Okay. I'll give him credit, he didn't do it in this game.
Not in this one, true, but that's what the sequels are for.
Yeah, especially Lightning Returns.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be fair, because like some other things I've seen, at least he doesn't try and do that to underage characters.
No, it does not. To be fair, yeah.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were going to say he does that in Lightning Returns.
Okay, that may be true to this, but let's not forget what he wanted to do with 7 originally. Let's not forget about that.
Okay, to be fair, he was just going to find the girls' panties here. Maybe it was supposed to be comedic, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that makes it okay, but it wasn't like he was trying to directly sexualize Marley.
Anyway, Jova, here's your official explanation since you basically asked it. The gender identity of a White Mage is ambiguous, starting with the origin force, the PS1. In contrast to the generally masculine designs of the other 5 jobs, the White Mage has a feminine appearance. Additionally, the Dawn of Souls and 20th anniversary ports, GBA and PSP, give the players a list of pre-chosen names to use for jobs which are taken from other Final Fantasy characters. Most of the name developers for the White Mages are for females, while other 5 jobs have mostly male names. The official novelization identifies the White Mage as female, however, no version of Final Fantasy assigns a name or gender identity to any Warriors of Light, and is left to the player's discretion to do so. So basically, again, while there's mostly just speculation, at the end of the day, it's just up to the player discretion.
Yeah.
What about the parrot from Final Fantasy V? She's technically. Oh wait, hold on.
Paris, yes. Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Okay. So was Toriyama specifically talking about somebody who's like the lead of a Final Fantasy game?
Yes. Like I said, the biggest comparison to be done is with Terra and Celes from Celes from 6.
So Lightning really was supposed to be the main lead of this game.
Yeah. Promotional material and anything. Again, Jova, I think I told you in one previous part, she's even plastered on the cover, which, is a good
I was the one who mentioned that.
Well, it's still a good point to mention at least, because starting with this game, they sadly kind of stopped doing the tradition, at least here in Europe, of making the covers of the game just, with white with just the logo on it. 15 had sort of a compromise by having a double face type of cover, which had something similar to it, but it wasn't exactly as the previous ones. And sadly, they haven't really, done yet anything like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, basically. So,
you know what this means, though? It really is a case where, despite Lightning being touted as the supposed main leading character of this game, you'll come to see just how much of a bold-faced lie that was.
I'm the protagonist of this story.
This is my story. It will end it here. It will go the way I want it, or I'll end it here. Yes.
It's your story from now, Apollo.
You know what? I'm
Well,
going to say this.
I was
say this.
Go on.
Tidus was a better character than Lightning.
No, I strongly disagree on that.
I will hold to that because I feel like Tidus' story at least felt like it had a proper beginning, middle, and end conclusion. Lightning's has none of that.
Yeah,
Lightning's character,
protagonist.
Sorry, Dedge?
Do you not like optimistic protagonists?
I don't like Dambassery, and Tidus is chock full of
No,
that.
no, it has nothing to do with that.
Not to mention the horrible way, his actual family issues with his father are portrayed in the main game he's supposed to star in.
Yeah,
but
that's not
for today.
All right, see you for the next part, everybody.
See ya.